we can cross to France 24's chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons, who's in Kramatorsk. Rob, it is quite close to the front line where you are. What's the mood like there as the country marks this anniversary?
Yeah, it is close to the front line, about 30 kilometers away, Bakhmut, where the central fighting is going on, where the fiercest fighting along that very long front is happening. The mood here, I have to say, is quite calm, and bear in mind that Kramatorsk, where I am, has seen fighting now since 2014, so in a way people are used to it. A lot of people have left, it has to be said. This was a city before the fighting started of 180,000 people. Maybe there are 60,000 or so, maybe a little bit less than that, but it's certainly no more a third of the original population. The centre has been pretty much emptied out. Most of the people who are staying here live on the outskirts of the town, where it's a little bit safer. They're single-storey buildings, not like the high-rises you get here. But the mood, I suppose, is resigned more than anything else. People are used to the fighting. They're used to the danger. It doesn't terrify them in the same way that it used to at the beginning of the conflict. There isn't the same sort of confusion about what to do, where they should go, should they flee. The air raid sirens go off all the time. There was one sounding here just minutes before I came on air. And it feels too like a garrison town. Most of the traffic you see on the roads is military of one kind or another. There's either heavy weaponry trundling through, or there are soldiers in civilian cars. Very little civilian traffic itself. I spoke to a few soldiers as well. They're talking about the situation at the front line in Bakhmut, where it really is very difficult indeed. But the impression you get from talking to them is that they are quietly confident at the same time that they can hold on. But what they need, what they keep saying, it's like a constant mantra that you hear from President Zelensky down to the lowest ranked soldiers: we need weapons, we need weapons, we need weapons, and we need them now. And that really, I think, is the most urgent request that they've got if they're going to turn what is a Russian offensive at the moment into a counter-offensive by the Ukrainians themselves.
And Rob, you yourself were in Kyiv last year when the invasion started. Tell us what that moment was like and how things have changed.
Yeah, I just arrived in Kyiv on the 23rd of February. We went to bed expecting to have a regular day ahead of us on the 24th. But I was woken up by sirens at about 4 o'clock in the morning. The hotel staff were quitting the hotel. They told us we had to get out and find other accommodation. And there was general confusion throughout the city. People were panicked, no question about it. Hundreds of thousands of people fled over the next 48 hours. And then gradually calm started to come back. But still, there was this fear that the Russians would enter the city. We knew that there was a Russian column that had come very close to Kyiv, that was already in the suburbs, in fact. We could hear shooting all the time. And the fear was, whether realistic or not, that the Russians would surround Kyiv. And so that really, I think, was what was causing the panic. People were trying to get out to avoid that. But gradually, as the Ukrainians, we heard in that report, as the Ukrainians managed to get some traction in the fighting and then push the Russians back, the situation started to change. And then the Russians were expelled from the area around Kyiv. They were forced to retreat. They were forced to reconsider what their strategy was going to be. And that is where we find ourselves today. The Ukrainians have found themselves, I would say, as a nation more than anything else. They're ready to. They believe in themselves. They believe they can win this war, and they feel that the tide has turned in their favor.
Right, Rob, thank you very much for your reflections. We hope you can stay safe and also warm. That's France 24's chief